Hi, everyone. You're watching episode 62 of Yield TV. Hey, welcome back. It's January 21st, 2021. And today we've got a really interesting conversation for you. We're going to be interviewing Metakovan. Metakovan is the world's largest collector of NFTs by value. He actually recently spent $2.2 million on 20 single edition Beeple pieces, these are the pieces that I think everyone was paying attention to over the last few weeks and got really excited just to see this incredible collection of work by Beeple go for a lot of money. So I didn't realize this until recently that they had collected these single editions, and they're creating a public art installation called B20. So we're going to learn all about that, and there's a lot of insights to dig into with Metakovan. So Metakovan, welcome to Yield TV. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so good to just have the opportunity to learn from you. I think there's very few people in the world that have your expertise. So I feel really lucky that we get to talk with you and just dig into the trends that you're recognizing and like how you're participating in the community to make NFTs and crypto mainstream. I think it would be really interesting, though, before we talk about B20 and all the work that you've been doing, would you share, how did you ever get into crypto? Like, how long have you been in the space? And then I'm wondering when you pivoted into NFTs.
Sure. So I've been in crypto since 2013. I started with I didn't invest into Bitcoin or anything. I just started working, and that's how I earned my first Bitcoin. And I've been in crypto since that day, day in, day out, just looking, like everyone else in the industry. I've gone through various cycles, looked at Ethereum, worked on Ethereum. I'm a coder too, so that's probably how I initially made my small stash, right? And I've been able to multiply that in a way which is quick, because that's what crypto offers. It's a place where you have liquidity, right? So there's a lot of things you could do if you are quite aware and attentive. It takes a lot of energy, but I think that's been my story. I don't want to go too much into details, but 2013, I've been in Ethereum. I've been in all of the new wave ones like Polkadot and everything. So I've had a continuous. I've never been tired of crypto, I should say.
Yeah. And to back up a sec, were you saying, did you ever actually buy Bitcoin, or you had earned it all?
So initially, I just, when I first saw Bitcoin, it was around $100, and I didn't have any cash to afford it. So I could not have, I didn't have the money to buy any Bitcoin. So
Wow.
I just started, like on Bitcoin talk forums, helping people escrow stuff, and I will take a cut, and that became a service, and that's how I earned my first Bitcoin. I still remember I made a small website where people could deposit, two different cryptocurrencies, and I'll be the middleman. And I had no cryptocurrency to test the website, so I had to test it with when people actually used it. So yeah.
Wow.
But I guess people are very tolerant back then. They like today you can experiment a lot. Back then also there was a lot of experimentation, and that is how I earned my first Bitcoin.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
first fraction of a Bitcoin. Yeah.
What do you think is the difference in mindset when you earn Bitcoin like you did, or now today with DeFi, which we could dig into with you as well, because you're very active in DeFi. What do you think the difference is between those that are earning versus those that have bought? And those that have bought is a much larger pool. That could be anyone from Wall Street to one now with DeFi lending, some DAI. Just kind of curious to dig into like how you see it, having been here for so many years.
I don't know how much people might appreciate this, but I always look at crypto like being on a poker table, right?
Yeah,
And that there is all these rounds going on, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. But if you look at the guy who got into the table initially, he didn't invest much, right? So he's okay losing some extra. So that means that he has more risk appetite by definition. That means he gets more awards by definition. So yeah, this game is in that way. Even if I would always say this, like say Michael Saylor, right? Like he got into Bitcoin using a huge stash. That means that he's buying into the table,
yeah,
but he will not have the same mindset as a guy who's been in the crypto space for 10 years or 7 years, right? Where
yeah,
he'll be probably a maximalist for a while, because I don't believe in maximalism. I feel like it's a lazy thing to do, right?
yeah.
I would not.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I don't want to say that, oh, this is better than this or not better than this. But you should always have an open mind for idea, right? And and someone just buying in to the industry right now, they might not have the same mindset. They want everything to be simple. That's what I find. Like
mhm,
they want, they want to be like, oh yeah, if there's going to be Ethereum killer, they'll be like, no, 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 there can never be Ethereum killer, because I'm invested in Ethereum, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I will die. It's like saying I will die for my country. Yeah, you can, but I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to be the whole point of crypto is the freedom to exit, and you need to exit and be part of many communities, not one community. My Discord, I'm part of like say 50 communities at a time, right? I'm
wow.
sure that many people here are, where if you open your Discord, there'll be at least 10-20 communities you're part of, right? And that's the world today. That's the mental model we need to have. And so if someone coming in today who wants to buy into crypto, I'm perfectly fine with it. But you should know that there's no easy answer to this, right? Like there's no like, oh yeah, buy this coin, or buy this is going to be huge. There is no holy grail here. It's really a matter of like continuously moving with the wave, and being able to ride these things properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know my experience has been that once you start to feel a part of the community, once you feel that you're contributing something beyond
Hmm.
just like holding a token, it's
Yeah.
so much more rewarding, and
Yeah.
it's sticky. It keeps you here, and if you contributing actually is adding value, I mean, you think about that, it becomes a flywheel of new people coming into the space, adding
Yeah.
value. Best example for me in the last year was I didn't really pay much attention to NFTs until maybe like, I don't know, maybe like February or March. And it didn't have anything to do with like prices going up. Like in
Mm-hmm.
all honesty, I was pretty blind
Yeah.
to what was going on. And it was just the community. Like Token
Mm.
Smart is what drew me in the most. I was like, wow, like this is like such a tight knit group of people who only exist on Discord and CryptoVoxels. In other words, like exist on digital first platforms.
Yeah,
None of
that's
these
correct.
people have probably ever met themselves. I didn't even know till recently. Jimmy, I didn't, or Jim, I didn't know what Jim looked like. He posted
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
photo or something on Twitter, and it's weird because I
Uh-huh.
always picture him as his avatar. So
Yeah.
seeing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, that's weird. He's supposed to have a beard and a crown, uh, different colored eyes. Um,
Yeah.
it's funny, going back to what you were saying, I think more generally about investing in crypto. I am curious. Uh, Someone like Michael Saylor, who has done a lot of good for the Bitcoin
Mm-hmm.
community, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious, like, how will he fare during the next drawdown? Because right now he looks like to anyone inside or outside the space, he looks like a messiah, because he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about Bitcoin and the price has gone
Yeah.
up all during that time. But
Mm.
we've all been there. We all
Yeah.
have felt like geniuses. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
how will you fare, Michael Saylor, when the price draws down? It's very likely it'll draw down, 70% or something on another cycle.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, but like those are
Nobody
pretty
knows.
standard numbers, during
Yeah.
like a bear market. So, um, I don't know. Just I find it.
Yeah.
I think like the way you've described it, though, it's very well put. That
Mm.
it's about like putting down roots in the community. It's about being there longer at the poker table,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
uh, it's just weird to watch the same human behavior cycle because we've all sat there now at the poker table, and you
That's correct.
watch all the same sorts of behavior, both good and bad,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
want to help them, but like even with all the education that we try to do here on Yield TV, all the education I've personally tried to do before this, I know that at the end of the day, the best education is just firsthand experience.
yeah, yeah.
Which let's go back then to so you get into crypto, relatively early compared to others. You end up discovering Ethereum eventually. When did you start to dig into Ethereum? What did you find interesting about it? And I guess when did you get hooked on the idea of NFTs?
So yeah, so Ethereum, the lucky part was initially, when Ethereum was still a white paper,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to talk to the team, right, like which was working on Ethereum. So I had an idea of what's going to happen, and when the crowd sale happened, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, there are a bunch, right? So I don't want to say who, but we were hanging out together, and he was like, yeah, pushing me almost. Back then I was like, I had a little bit of Bitcoin at that point, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm going to hodl them and not do anything else. And
Yeah.
then he was like, yeah, he was pushing me so hard, right? Like he was like, okay, yeah, you should put some Bitcoins into this. And I thought, and I didn't put all my Bitcoins, but I put a little. So yeah, that's grown a lot, right? So in value. So that's one of the, I actually, after putting money into Ethereum at that point,
Mhm.
uh, I've never sold all my Ethereum from back then, right? So that's something which I just carried with me. That was a very hard move, but I've diversified into, yeah, so newer things like, say, Polkadot or something, Polkadot, Tezos, Definity, all these opportunities that came, which might not have, they don't all work out. That's there too. That's the risk. But Ethereum initially itself, had that feeling, because I was, in the middle of all these guys who were working on it. I knew that it's going to be something interesting, but I didn't know it was going to work. Smart contracts, I didn't know that it might work. It was so primitive, and even after like Ethereum launched for a year, we didn't even have a wallet, right? Like we were we were,
Yeah.
we were only on CLI, and it was not so sexy as it looks today. But after,
Yeah.
I'm talking about when Maker probably launched in the forums, it was still quite boring even with Maker, because Maker was not even a new idea, right? Like it was just bit shares, bit USD on Ethereum. And I still remember people, because Rune also is from bit USD, right? So it was just so weird, and that nothing new was happening. And then only when at the point when NFT started coming out, I really got excited, because I thought this is something that, it's consumption. So it's a very different mindset, and we can get into it, because I I I do have good feels about, say, Ethereum, DeFi, all the scalability and things that are happening in tech, everything, right? But as you said, like all these, we able to participate in the value accrual, means that we are able to get some portion of the upside, which traditionally we would have no chance, right? Like if it was a bank doing it, or some Rockefeller doing it, he would have made all the money, not any one of us. So at least that's better. But it's still just speculation, right? Like in a sense that DeFi is exciting, Ethereum is exciting, everything is exciting, but it still removes the human from you. And sometimes even when you make a lot of money, it's
Mhm.
not, you might not feel that happy, right? Like you might not feel that happy, or when you lose money you might feel depressed. All these emotions are like a gambler's mentality, more than adding value to the world. So sometimes you get into that cycle where you don't know whether you're contributing something good in the world, or you're just a person who's trying to make money here, right? And that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
huge problem. That's a huge problem because it attracts all different kinds of people. And you like, some people will be like, yeah, I'm not here for the money, I'm here for the tech, for the community. And they might end up not making a lot of money initially, but they might grow their reputation and end of the day make money too. I feel like that's a better path to take than just like trading, speculating, and killing your mental health in that way, right? Like, it's so hard. I'll tell you, it's so hard. I've tried to be everyone, right? Like, I've tried to be a trader, everyone. But man, like, if all the professions I have, I will never want to be a crypto trader, right? Especially a day trader. Yeah, never.
You said you never wanted to. No, I mean, you're hitting on a bunch of points around. I think there's the money that's the skin in the game, but there's like there's time and there's the energy. And I mean, I got to say, like, as I say this, like, I recognize like there's such a wide spectrum of people in crypto, and more to come. And I think about, like, part of, like, for me with DeFi, that what's interesting is, right now it's a playground. It's a money playground. Yes, there are some remarkable stories in there where you hear about someone in Nigeria who, like, desperately needed access to stable coins, or there's tons of folks in the DeFi community in Argentina, but or play to earn gaming also in the Philippines. There's a remarkable story there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, I mean, we're just not there yet where we're, like, really affecting the lives of people who really desperately need it. And so when I, or anyone, when we talk about, oh, well, it's the journey, that becomes so much more fulfilling. I remember when I was getting into the space saying, yeah, that's really nice. Like, I get your, I'm not speaking about myself here, but someone else, like you're worth millions of dollars. Like, it must be really nice to talk about how the journey is what's so much more magical. Like, what's so bad about making money? But I think the point that you've made is that if someone is fortunate enough to end up making a fortune in this space, I think they will eventually realize, based on a lot of these interviews that I've now had with folks who have lived a much more wild journey than I have, I think they'll realize, like, once you get there, that yes, it is more important. Like, you won't derive the happiness from it that you think you will. Like,
that's correct.
It's more about honestly, I still get like a shot of dopamine from people DMing me on, like, Twitter or Discord saying, I need some help with this. Like, how do I do this in DeFi? And then, like, someone who thinks their money's stuck and being able to help them, like, it feels so much better because I know what sort of, like, desperation that person must be going through.
That's correct.
They get the money out. So
see, that's the thing, right? Like, end of the day, I think the physical world is not going anywhere. And look at me, I'm an NFT collector, right? So the physical world is all that is important, and in that way, it's the human connections and meeting each other, and even if you're an online community, it's not the same. It's never the same like meeting people. Like this, if this COVID thing has taught me something, I've always felt like, man, I don't want to keep traveling, right? Like, I will cry. I'll be like, man, I don't want to keep going to conference. I need to stop this. But now I've not been able to go anywhere for 8 months and 9 months. And I feel so bad because, even if it's hard, it's very important to hang out and talk to people, and not just about making money. But these are the people who we are. It's weird to say, but it's not like we are part of the same world everyone else is in this physical world. Like, you're part of different communities. I'm part of a virtual community, and the thing is, I don't vibe the same way with, say, if I go hang out with, say, some people who play chess. Like, that's a community too, right? So like, my friends are virtual. Now that's cool because I can meet them in CryptoVoxels, but I need to make sure I can meet people in person. And tomorrow, as these virtual worlds grow, and like these NFTs and these things, I look at them not as something that's replacing the physical world, but completely something where it's a way for us to assemble communities online, and then use that association, use that coordination mechanism, which is global, right? Like virtual worlds, the whole crypto, the idea of crypto is that you have no borders and no boundaries. So you first try to figure out where you belong, and then you need to make physical meetings as much as possible, so
Mhm.
that you can hang out with people you really like, right? And that's something, say, the virtual worlds can enable, and I think that's the power. Even with whatever I've been doing, um, we can go into the details of, say, metaverse and what I'm thinking there, right? and and how I'm thinking about the physical world from a point of view of the NFT, and that's something that really excites me.
Yeah, yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think has to happen next for um, for us to see that next wave of mass adoption with the metaverse? Because like what we're talking about is so first we talk about the origin of
Mm,
cryptocurrencies, really with Bitcoin, and now
mm,
the fact that we have everything that we do with like Ethereum, and
mm,
other
mm,
smart contract platforms like
yeah.
Polkadot. When you think about what you'll be able to do to exchange value, to
Mm,
own things in the metaverse, like
mhm,
that was an underlying construct that needed to be
mm,
solved. And it's,
mm,
it's not like things are perfect, but hey,
yeah.
we got way more than enough momentum. Like this is all
Yeah.
not going away. What I
What's happened with artists, right? Like what's happened with crypto art is very it's actually a very phenomenal change. I, I, it, I want to call it the renaissance, for a lot of reasons. And
yeah.
I don't want to use that word like a marketing term, right? Like, and there's a reason why we want to call it a renaissance, because right now, like we've always wanted to construct, or I'm talking philosophical here, right? Like we have always wanted to construct our society from an artist's point of view. Like artists, historically, have been the people who have shaped society into where we stand today. Vanga, right? Like Vanga, if you look at Vanga, I don't know if you've visited Amsterdam, so the whole point of Amsterdam, I don't think will exist like that. If you go to Amsterdam, basically the idea is you have 2 lanes for cars, and then say 7 lanes for people to walk around and bike around, right? And it's in a way egalitarian, because you won't see rich or poor on the road, right? Like it's not so. And that idea comes from an artist like Van Gogh, because he's the guy who stopped painting portraits of the nobility and started painting a milkmaid, like a person who'd pour milk, a maid who's pouring milk, right? Like that's why his art became very interesting to us, because he painted ordinary stuff which we think does not deserve attention, right? And so what's happening now in crypto art is that we are allowing, say, for a while I feel like we had technologists, coders who could do economic games, using unbreakable, uncensorable code that could create money, right? But now what's happening is we've created these platforms where now artists can come in and then use their reputation, in a way where, say, example, Beeple, right? If Beeple keeps dropping one of ones all the year, or all for the whole year, it's not going to hold its value, right?
Mhm.
People would understand that as an artist, it's better, it's his reputation. So when you buy a piece of Beeple, you are buying his something that's stamped with his reputation, right? And I'm not saying in a speculative way that it'll go up in value, but what he's giving you is is part of his timeline, part of his history, right? And in a way, imagine reconstructing the whole economic theory. So you take a Beeple's piece, maybe it will be more stable than a stable coin. At least it might not lose value, right? Like it might be stable over time. I don't think it'll move up like Ethereum and draw down like Ethereum either, but it'll have a more stable presence. And that's because that depends on how Beeple is going to live his life, right? And we have these tools now. This was not possible before, where we can take an artist and use him as the basic for, say, issuing a currency or something. Think about that. Like, we've had algo stables now, which is a crazy idea, right? And we've had collateralized stable coins. But what if you want to take NFTs, collateralize them, right, and have stable coins? That's we are not talking about NFTs as an asset there. We are talking about taking an artist's reputation, right, and then trying to create an economic model around it. I know it's very, it's out there, meaning it might sound a little crazy and like a far-fetched idea, but I feel like that experiment is just getting started. And
It's I mean, it's very similar. I mean, everything that we're discussing with even just like crypto art, it's very similar to the journey you take with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and any cryptocurrency. And I gotta say, after I got down that rabbit hole with Bitcoin and Ethereum, I was like, wow, like I'll probably never discover anything quite like this in my lifetime. Like, this is probably the biggest turning point. Like I realized like right away, like, wow, this is a huge thing. Like and this was before I even started working in the space. And then I gotta say, DeFi like felt like that next turning point. But at least I already had there's a lot of truths that I knew just because of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then when I got to NFTs, this has sort of been that like fourth miracle for me of like the crypto space to realize like, whoa, like this is like, I didn't realize when I was using cryptocurrencies that I didn't realize how what a roadblock it is that it was so secondary to me, that I got a bank and I put money in and then I have to exchange it on like a centralized exchange. And now I'm in this cage that is the blockchain. But now that's all changed for me. DeFi is my primary. It's
such a
same with this.
It's such a profound experience, right? Like, as I said, I've been in crypto for a while, and I've met very similar people. Like, over years, who have met. Meet is someone who wear a hoodie, right? Like exactly someone who looks like you, right? And that's not to say that that's bad or something. But what I mean is that we've not had a chance to meet, say, a singer, an artist, from a different background, from a different perspective, some different point of view, because we're kind of quite, you have to be tech savvy to understand crypto. And that's the kind of crowd it's attracted most of the time. Now it's changing, and it's changing a lot because of NFTs. Because now, say for example, Beeple, he has no idea about crypto, right? Like I still remember the first call I had with him. He was like, I have no idea about crypto, but I'm going to drop. I want to do this NFT drop. And I was like, yeah, man, you should do it. And that was our conversation. I didn't talk to him much. But then after the sale, where during the auction, I didn't tell him that I'm going to get all his pieces. That was my, like, I never revealed my strategy, right? But once I did acquire all the pieces, I got back to him and I said, man, like he said that he was going to be on Nifty Gateway because he wanted people to use credit cards for his purchase. And I was like, man, no, that's not happening. Right? It's going to be really crazy, these sales. And I don't think a credit card would allow these kind of numbers. So yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's a funny story. I didn't, because he's come a long way in such a short amount of time. And I mean, my interview with him just last week, he really was able to verbalize philosophically like why all of this is so important, because he sort of lived that journey now. And does he want to talk about the ERC 721 standard. No, like he doesn't
No,
give a shit about that.
that's what.
He's just like, hey, it's cool that the way he described it was, I never thought that the digital art I created could have ownership that is verifiable. I didn't think that it was possible for me to, to give that uniquely to someone, because I've been creating this art for 5,000 days and putting it up on all his social media channels and, kind of doing all this work. Like, if you think about like the payoff that he just got, I mean, he's been doing this for 13 years, over 13 years. So like when people look at it and they say, wow, I can't believe, art went for that much, outside the space. I'm like, well, you need to understand like that this is someone who has an insane following due to an incredible amount of dedication. Who knew that after 13 and a half years that he'd get any payoff like that? Like,
That's correct. And to add to that, what's happening now is very very important to understand, because as you said, right, like Beeple comes with not a lot of knowledge about the space, but once he is part of the space, we take him, right, like we guide him with our own thing. So that's what I feel like NFT is doing, because artists are artists. Imagine making a movie, right? You are the director, and if there's a star walking in, he will not understand how to write the story, right? So that's all different departments, and that is how I look at Beeple, right? Like when Beeple walks in, I'm sitting here, as a producer, of content. I'm thinking, what do I do with Beeple, right? And once Beeple walks in, I buy his art, and I make a plan. I write a story. I'm like, this is what I want to do with Beeple, right? And then I obviously take that to Beeple, and I'm like, man, see, Beeple, it might take very long for him if he wants to do his own gallery, right? But once we bought the 20 pieces, what I did first thing was I brought in a team which could build galleries for him in the metaverse, right? Like that will host his pieces. Like if you think about that, and we spent more than $300,000 on the galleries, right?
wow.
Buying land.
I was afraid to ask, but no, I appreciate you sharing it. It's that actually, while we're talking about this, do you mind if I should start to pull this up, because we're talking about Beeple's work that you acquired. I mean, this leads into like, we've been talking about the origins of like what drives you, your passion to contribute to the community. Like your passion is not like, the title I have here is like clickbait, world's largest NFT collector by value. It clearly does not define you at all. Actually, to clarify, I put that up there. And you were very much like, oh, I don't even care. Like, just leave it as Metakovan if you want. And so like that is what fascinates me is when you live the journey that you have, but you actually seem to have more passion now than you ever did before.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful point you make. Exactly. And I'm more passionate because I can. On one side, you could pull up the gallery, right? Like, and I want to keep talking, because this is profoundly different from what I've experienced in crypto before, right? Because in crypto, like the most I could do is make money, and probably no one will know about it, right? Like, okay, I could go buy a car or something for vanity, and think about that from that perspective, where you make money. What do you do in the world, right? Like, I don't know. We've spent our time in this community, and I'm like, okay, I don't have too much to say about the real world, because there's a lot of philosophical differences between the real world and where we stand today. So when CryptoVoxels and all these virtual worlds are starting, this is very interesting, because it's a way for me to connect with artists again. And artists, I say that they know the future, right? Hanging out with an artist is very, very a unique experience, where you would really like you'd have an intellectual um, every time I meet an artist and I walk out, I'm a different person, right? And that's an understatement, and that's what we are doing here. So it's not about buying art and trying to flip them, but here I'm trying to bring people in, and we build this gallery where you're walking around, right? We put all these actually you cannot go into the all these blocks. They've been like very very sci-fi style, but you cannot enter them without the portal. That's the idea. So there are
Oh,
no
that's
doors,
amazing.
so you have to go.
Really? Oh, that's so cool that like, because that was something that I always was like fascinated by with. So as I would like explore CryptoVoxels, I'm like, it really would make sense. While this is beautiful that it's very open, that anyone can enjoy whatever, it would make sense to be able to sort of curate where you're walking without being able to like walk through walls. So anyways, let's show people this. So this, I mean, first off, this is a massive building.
So we call it B20 because it's going to host. It's a gallery. It's a gallery put together by Voxel architects, and they built it over 440 hours, man hours. They're a team of 5, and we have built the same gallery in all the 3 worlds. So CryptoVoxels, Decentraland, Somnium, right? And the place you're standing right now is it's going to host a huge party, a launch party on 2 days from now. So Jan 23rd, 7:30 p.m. CST is when the launch is going to happen here. So Blau is going to be here playing music for us, and the Beeple is going to be here talking. And if you look at the teleporter, you'll be able to see all the list of the 20 art pieces we collected, and you can just click on them and teleport to each of them. So
Look at this, how cool this is. So people, I think a lot of people will recognize this, but yeah, this is the epic like 20 pieces that sold that you acquired. How, I guess, how difficult was that to acquire those? Because I assume that there's a lot of people who bought these who were like, heck no, man, like I want this piece. And then like, I'm assuming that it has to do with like what you're trying to do here by creating a museum. Wow, look at this one too.
Yeah. He's just Beeple is just crazy. He's a very different.
I didn't realize that it was Disney. It's funny too. We talked about he has kids around the same age as me, and so now I've seen all these Disney characters and cartoon characters, and I just thought like, oh, whatever. It's just a dude who like finds humor in this pop culture. But I realized like he's sitting there playing around because he's probably living the same life as I am, having to watch Disney Plus 24 hours a day with our kids. But so how difficult was it like to track these down? And like, do you think that were people willing to sell ultimately because of the initiative for the B20?
No, I actually bought everything in the auction, and I never revealed my intention, right? So because I knew that if I did reveal my intention, it will just bump up the prices. So during the auction, I had 12 accounts, all different names, and I was bidding as different people. So no one knew it was all me. But when we did the auction, it was around 14 hours, 7 hours day 1, 7 hours day 2. We just sat, we just bought every single piece.
That's incredible. And those were so those were like, were they timed auctions?
So each auction was expiring every half an hour. And if you do a bid at the last when just 5 minutes were remaining, it would extend the bid by 5 minutes. Extend the auction by 5 minutes. So there were multiple auctions that will go for like, instead of ending at 7, it will go to 8 also, where like we've had other bidders trying to pick it up. And luckily, only at the 19th piece, people started recognizing it was just one guy going for all the pieces. So,
oh my God, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I mean, until very recently, once the interview got set up, I was like, wait, what? One person bought them all? There were like 20 pieces. I thought, there were multiple people that bought these. I
went on.
Like, that's what I'm surprised about, just because there was a lot of bidding. There's a lot of.
Definitely. I pissed off a lot of collectors that day. Definitely. I wasted their 14 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, this is, and as I'm walking through all of this, for people that are new to CryptoVoxels, like, this is the sort of thing that you can contract with someone to build. Did you use Voxel Architects? Is that the name
That's
of the
correct.
team?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So if you go to the collaborators room, which I want you to
Yeah, here
just,
we go.
yeah, the collaborators hall. So this project, if you can fly up,
Yeah.
I think if you can press F, you can start from the top, and you will see that, we
There we
call
go.
it, yeah, we call it the uh, B20, which is the name of the project because it's Beeple and the 20 art. Metaverse is the company that, not the company, it's still not, its own entity, but this is the idea where I'm putting all my NFTs together and figuring out what I want to do. Most probably this is going the direction of a production company, so which is very new to, crypto and NFTs. But
Wow.
I being the producer, we had so many people work on this project, and the art came from people. But if you look at the number of contributors to the project, it's
Yeah.
incredible. Voxel Architects, there were 5 people in the team, with Leandro leading them. He did the design, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually, yeah, including him, it's 7 people in the team, right? So they were like, clockwork, building all these across, even through Christmas. They just sat day in, day night. And in crypto voxels, it's like building each block. So it's not like you see this and it's not a 3D model, right? Like you have to build it actually. So it's a whole experience that we had. And yeah, we put together so much. And Blau is going to be the he's a very famous audio artist. He has 20 million plus plays on Spotify, and
Wow.
he's part of this project, giving us the soundscape for the gallery. So right now there's no sound in the gallery. We've not put it
Mhm.
into the gallery yet, but he's working on it right now as we speak, where he's going to give us this soundscape. So that's going to be NFT too, right? and
Wow.
and and obviously the land parcels, those are also NFTs. And what I'm trying here, this is
I
fun.
just noticed this Beeple sample. Oh my God, that is so fun. It's just the detail in all of this. And it's funny, like I recognize so many here. I mean, there's Meta
Yeah,
Factory, of
Matthew.
course, Token Smart.
Yeah,
You've got
Meta Factory is partnering with us to do, there's someone else. Wow, that's so nice, right?
that cool. Oh man, that is just
Yeah,
that's so.
right.
And then you've got Andrew Steinwald there, Matthew
Understand all. Yeah,
from
everyone.
wow, so
So
cool.
that's why this is interesting, because we should not look at this as some collector having gotten all the pieces and keeping it in a vault. But what I'm trying to do here is try an experiment where we actually work together. So they spend their time, I spend my money, they spend their time to increase the awareness of all these pieces. And now what I did was I put everything, the land, the museum, the Beeple pieces, the audio NFT into a vault, and I've tokenized it, and I've distributed, a part of it to everyone who worked on the project to start with, right?
That's right. And
And
we should
yeah.
hop over to that for a sec, because this is so we've explained this story of you having purchased all of these like iconic pieces by Beeple,
Yeah.
and people didn't realize that was
Actually, I also talked about it in because we might not have the time to go into the detail, but I spoke on Zima Red to Andrew Steinwald in
yes,
detail. It's a 1.5 hour podcast about how I bought the pieces and everything. So if anyone wants to know, like, the minute details of how we spend, you have the
really,
story.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
have to listen to that. That's funny. As I was
yeah.
like getting ready, I was like, I wish I had listened to that. But that's great. That I was gonna say there's a lot more detail there. Like I just don't understand how you executed that. Like I figured even with the auctions extending 5 minutes at the end, I just feel like you almost have to have some luck on your side, or
Man,
just
they have to give up, right? Persistence.
preparation.
Oh, it's
Persistence. Yeah.
auction is a very, very, like, yeah, you can have all the money, but ego. it's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm spending my money, and the other guy who's the other collector who competing for the pieces, they're not spending their money, right? So they have still their money, and they're feeling more and more FOMO. So it gets harder and harder and harder, right? Every piece. So
So
yeah, you
interesting.
could
I
see
had no
that dynamic. Yeah.
So this is so the B20 museum is what we just showed everyone. And
Mhm.
reminder, if you go to actually, let me like make sure I put up this banner here. If they go to b20.metaverse.fund, they can scroll to the very bottom, and there's click here to join. It'll take you to CryptoVoxels. Question though on Somnium and Decentraland. Are there links for those yet?
I think it'll be updated right here.
Cool.
We've still, in Somnium, there's a issue with, putting it on the space, and people. It's going to be like if tomorrow is launch day, they're going to work till the midnight, right? So
yeah.
Right now, I'm speaking here. Everyone else is just working.
I mean, I'm amazed that you have all that detail put just into the CryptoVoxels museum. Like that is one of the most intricate.
Oh man, you should visit Decentraland. You'll be blown. We've even integrated, ways for you to like even get a piece of the token or something into the build. So yeah, those things are very exciting. It's pushing the boundaries, and it's going to be autonomous, right? Like when we go out of this, we build this and we move out of this. We are not planning to make this dynamic, meaning we are not going to change the pieces or anything. It's going to just stay like this forever. That's what I want, really, where maybe in a couple of years.
The other part of this that's like super interesting, like, so you create this public museum, but then you're democratizing access to owning a part of this by creating correct me if I'm like misrepresenting like the intention, but I kind of think of it as like an index. It's like an index of this collection, and so what is it? Is it B20 is the name of the token?
It's just called, the token is going to be called B20. As you said, like, like usually tokens are like, even I frown upon tokens, right? Like it's little hard to, but it's a very nice way to experiment on sharing ownership. So in this case, the first responsibility I have is to give ownership to everyone who's worked on this, right? Like that's a primary responsibility. So I have no other way of doing it. If you think about it, like I can just keep it, like I bought the 20 pieces. The only option I would have else is to put it in a vault and just sit on it, right? But here, as a collector, I felt like we have a responsibility to increase its awareness. And one of the ways to do it is to allow other people to own it so that, they will also be excited about it. Mona Lisa is a famous painting because, do you know why Mona Lisa is so valuable?
So I've actually seen it. I got to take a trip to Paris.
Nice.
I mean, like, other than if someone said to me, like, why is Bitcoin or Ether valuable? I'm like, people want it. Like, I don't know. Like,
Mona Lisa is just, it's the most recognized art piece in the world, right? Like, if you think about it. Like, that's it. And if I want to at least try making B20 the most recognized, like it's already, as you see with the story and with the amount of spark we are throwing at it, it's coming out of the NFT area, and I'm happy that I'm talking to DeFi Dad, and his attention is on something like this, right? So I'm so excited because I want to increase this awareness to, say, all the crypto people. And then after that, maybe even the mainstream audience. But at least in this specific work, it's going to attract the attention of a lot more people who are not just part of the NFT space. So that's very exciting to me, right?
Absolutely. And to clarify for everyone, like, we were just lucky. Matthew from Cent introduced you and was like, hey, like, I think you guys will really like love what you're doing with the B20 museum and this whole collection. So per usual, like, we always disclose if we would have like exposure to any of this, and I have no sort of kickback here, but I am incredibly fascinated by this. I mean, we've got so we've talked about the party itself being on January 23rd. 2021. That's at 6 to 7:30 p.m. CST. And that is, again, if you go to b20.metapurse.fund, there's a link at the bottom to go to CryptoVoxels. There'll be links there for Somnium and Decentraland. The other part of it, what we're showing here, though, is the fact that there will be 1.6 million B20 tokens available for purchase at 36 cents here on whalestreet.xyz. So,
I can give some information about that. Like, so I've been thinking about this because my intention is not to get liquidity, right? Like, so like a lot of people have been asking, because I sunk 2.2 million into the pieces and then spent 300,000 on the land, virtual land, and then we've spent 200,000 on the people who worked on this, right? But in a way,
I didn't realize those were the numbers behind it. No, it's interesting.
So it's a total of $2.7 million, and we've created 10 million tokens. That means I've spent 27 cents per token. That's the idea. So what I've been thinking is, man, and we've given like 10% of the tokens to the people who worked on it. That's very I feel like 2% went to Beeple. So I'm happy that Beeple's first token will be B20, right? You know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah. There is, which makes sense. This is I think one of the awesome things about this movement for artists with NFTs is it makes it easier. I think it makes it much easier and reliable to ensure that they're being compensated. I think it's it kills me when I see incredible pieces get sold and they're being flipped. Now, there's nothing wrong with flipping. I don't have any ethical problem with that. You can do whatever you want with something that you own like that. But it's different. It's different than the avenue that you're taking, where you are, really like, this is an example of like, I believe that the value that will come from this is so much more than the 2.7 million or something that's in it. This is about creating more exposure for more artists. But there are so many artists out there who have no idea that they should be getting involved here. I mean, I think we all speculate like someone like a Banksy is going to be in this by the end of the year. Like it's exactly, it's aligned with, I think, what he's always been trying to do. Versus, which is in many cases, he's got his middle finger up to the establishment, saying like, you're all ridiculous, paying all this money, and like there's people in the world who need a fraction of that money just to live. So, anyways,
that's a very nice point, right? And I think that's going to happen. And with this B20 launch, I call it production number 1 from Metaverse, because that's the exact intention, where if you imagine the experience the artist had, which you might want to bring back people and ask him about what happened here, because he had no pants in CryptoVoxels. So we took the artist, we built a gallery for him. We even I even wanted him to work with a custom tailor in CryptoVoxels to make his wearables, right? And we are doing it for him. So it's a very different experience. It's like taking care of the artist, because he's the star of this. And who am I? I'm just a producer, right? I'm fronting the cost, and all these people are working on this, and we are just figuring out some kind of some way where I can convert this into experience where people are consuming it instead of just wanting to speculate on this, right? And probably over time B20 I feel like B20 will still have that historical value of being having all these stories of how we won the auction. It's Beeple, it's the first of its kind, it's the largest one in 2020. All of this will go into it, and I'm sure that it will hold value for that sense. But the next productions we want to make, that's also going to be interesting, because I'm sure that we'll create more experiences in them, because all these artists, very different kind of artists, are going to enter, and I'm just so excited for that. And you would know that Metaverse would like, I want Metaverse to be the place where you always find some exposure to the premium NFTs, right? And I tell this to people all the time, man. If like $100,000 $100 NFTs is not the same as $100,000 NFT, right? And so it's not like everyone will be able to buy $100,000 NFT. But then we can do something like this, where from the outset, as you said, you called it an index. I feel like it's not an index yet. If you do a few more and then combine all of them, it becomes an index, right? So that's exactly where I feel like we are going towards, where inside the industry, I don't want to be a person who's called a bundler, right? Like, oh yeah, he collects NFTs, puts it into a bundle. That's not my job.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
I'm doing is I'm giving an experience for the artist. I'm giving a exposure to everyone who's not just the artist, also to make some money. So everyone here makes money in this experience. So it's like making a movie. And then we launch the movie in a way that, there's a token that you can hold and have exposure to the galleries. And then from there, we go on to the next project and the next project and the next project. So it's just an experiment. And so people should understand that it's not, a social currency. It's not a utility token or a governance token. It's just literally the exposure to the vault,
right.
which holds the assets, and there's a buyout clause. So there'll be a minimum bid. All these details will come out soon on I think it's Metapurser, or metapurser.substack.com, where we have a
Yeah,
newsletter. So
that here too.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
It's, actually, I'll put that up here just as a banner so folks can
Sure.
see that. That's check out metapurser.subs.
Substack. Yeah. So the thing is, all those things are going to happen, but the primary idea here is to just see if we can experiment with how we can not just be just a collector, right? Like, what are the other roles that we can introduce in the NFT space, so that we can grow this industry. And of everything, people were so told me, because there is physical pieces to this also, right? So what's going to happen, this is the most interesting part. When, like, if COVID was not here today, what would have happened is I would have launched this museum in CryptoVoxels, and we would have had a huge party. Imagine that.
Yeah.
With Blau being the DJ, right? And people there, with all the physical pieces, right? And having people enjoy this opening as a physical experience.
Yeah.
And that would have been amazing, right? I want to do that so badly once this COVID is done. But that just shows the potential of how much we can do, part of, even if this is all, virtual, there is a physical life. And that's something we are going to connect. And people who are, you've been meeting technologists all the time. I'm going to make a community where you'd be able to meet artists now, hang out with them, right? I'm going to work with more artists, and then make more physical, meetups with all these artists, so that that when Metaverse throws a party, you want to be there, right?
Yeah.
And that's exciting, and that's something very different from what I've been doing these many years in crypto, right?
Yeah, this whole idea too of, as you pointed out, like this shouldn't be called an index, as I was saying, because it's just not broad enough exposure.
Yep.
But the challenge over time is to, I think for many, if they're not fulfilling the role that you are as like a producer and this sort of community contributor, I think that folks will want that sort of broad exposure. And I got to say, it just blows my mind to think, like, I mean, how are you going to create an index of this space? There's so much, so much creativity. Like, this isn't like what we see, in the DeFi space, which, here's what you see in traditional finance. But at the end of the day, I just think, the experimentation here to be able to own a piece of the collection, if you love Beeple, if you love the work that he does, like, this is a really interesting way to participate. That's not financial advice. It's objectively, stating the truth that you can, for the first time, own a piece of an extremely expensive collection, which is an idea that's already seen more traction in the traditional art world. Masterworks, it has been trying to offer people fractionalized ownership. It's not on the blockchain. It's very different. I think it actually has a lot of drawbacks to it that do not work very well. But I consider them to be on one part of the spectrum, and this is that much further along. It's just that people need to understand how to use, an Ethereum wallet in this case, and how to, buy and hold a token. Is there anything else, though, that we should know with the whalestreet.xyz website. I hadn't logged in. I was missing a MetaMask.
Oh, sure. So that's going to be the tech side of all this bundling is done by Lendroid, and Whale Street is Whale Street is where you'd be able to buy the tokens, and that's going to be, the Whale Street has its own timeline of integrating the DeFi and NFTs in their own way. So that's going to be a very interesting experiment also. But that's where you'll be able to find details about this
Cool.
the B20 very soon. And there's also going to be a buyout, which I want to talk very briefly, where it's so the vault, it will have a minimum bid, but if someone wants to buy it out, for example, someone pays $10 million, right?
Mhm.
And then he can start an auction, bidding session that'll run for 14 days. And if no one else is going to bid, he pays $10 million and he gets all the assets, right? And every B20 holder can now go and redeem their B20 for the dollar amount. And this is all autonomous, right? Like after it's on the vault, I don't have to come in the middle, and that's so nice, man. Like it's that way, it's not a security, right? Like I'm as I'm emphasizing more, it's not something where we are not making it a social token. It's just a vault token, right? So that's the idea. So the buyout makes it stronger.
So interesting. I know we're going to be running out of time here soon, so I wanted to ask more generally, based on your journey, where would you recommend anyone get started with NFTs? Like, we all talk about listening to podcasts and watching an interview like this, but I'm curious, like, if there's other resources that you would recommend.
It's a little hard because it's a very unorganized sector, because it's changing so fast, right? But I would really recommend TokenSmart, the Discord community, where they always have listening, even they have listening sessions of where they record a podcast and listen together with the whole community. That's interesting, right?
I know,
listening parties.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and also there is VIPs happening, which is very important to the space. So every Thursday, I guess, I don't know if they're doing one this Thursday, because we are doing one. TokenSmart is also like they're the ones doing the B20 event. So I'm not sure if there is one today, but every day every week there's a VIP event, which will host like 400 to 800 people, right? Who all hang out in CryptoVoxels. You don't have to go to CryptoVoxels. You can just be on their Discord and listen in, right? And you'll have different people coming in and talking about various projects. It's a great way to start. And you can just start talking on TokenSmart, I guess. It's one of the most friendly places in the metaverse, right? So yeah, it's somewhere I also enjoy spending time.
It's funny that's the go-to resource that I'm always pushing is TokenSmart Discord group. So by the way, you can follow TokenSmart on Twitter, and they should have a link there to join the Discord group. And then the whip happens unless the time has changed in the past week, it happens at 3 p.m. Eastern every week on Thursdays. So today it will be at 3 p.m. Eastern, and they have normally multiple speakers, but it's nuts because you're there and a part of CryptoVoxels. And even if you just went to CryptoVoxels, let me make sure I've got that website correct. Even if you just go to CryptoVoxels.com, you'll see all the activity there around 3 p.m. Like you can see that there's a bunch of people in a certain part of the map, and you can join there. And that's one way to go about it. But as you know,
but I feel like if you're on CryptoVoxels, you will not hear any audio, and people get they think that there's something wrong with their PC or something. So it's better to go to the Discord channel and then start from there. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I actually, my go-to is to listen to it on Discord too. Like I love the visual aspect of looking at everyone, but it's just something that hasn't been figured out yet in CryptoVoxels. It's a harder thing to do, and that was something I remember the first time I went to the whip. I was like, I I remember thinking this is kind of janky that they have to do it like this way. Like why do they do it this way? And like now after seeing it and seeing like the dedication of the community, and actually the audio works really well through Discord, I'm like, again, like it's a testament to like the people that are here who want to be here, the strength of the community, and the size of the community has grown so much now. I mean, you can walk into a whip and there could be 200 plus people in there now, which there used to be. If you saw 50, 20, 10, I mean, those were all pretty standard numbers. Now it's grown so much. So also, if you're a creator or if you're someone who wants to get involved in the community or you're doing some cool work, they're great to get in touch with, because it's a place where you can sort of amplify what you're working on to a very tight-knit group of people that like will want to support the work that you're doing. So yeah, it's just such a cool thing. Metakovan, anything else that you think we should cover here today? Like I really appreciate all that we can like learn from like all the inspiring work you're doing with this museum. The museum just blows my mind. The token is going to be really interesting, as you noted, as an experiment. But like, I just think like no matter what, right now, you can go and enjoy that museum. I'll put the link into our show notes.
You don't need to have B20s to experience the museum, right? So we kept it open. It's not we don't have an entry fee for the museum. It's open. And Beeple was very particular about that, right? Like he was like, yeah, it should be open. Don't hide my art behind.
That's right.
Yeah, and I agreed to that. So that's very different. That's what when you have B20s, you just get the exposure. So I'm not trying to that. As you said, I also don't want to give any financial advice. So it's not like I want to like try to sell, B20s. It's just a way for you to get exposure. Like, if you bought B20s the Beeple pieces yourself, and that's it. So like if anyone is interested, obviously they can look into the sale, and we'd be doing more of these bundles. And so I want to mention that like if you can follow say Metaverse, you'd understand various of the projects we are going to work on later this year. So I'm at least planning to do 5 like this year. So I'm looking for say creative producers to work with us and etc. So
I missed the whole bottom of it. This is incredible on the floor. Like we were all focused on the meeting room is the one where people will end up speaking, and
that's a party area.
The whole party there. But this is incredible downstairs. Like, wow, these guys are voxel architects. Do you know like what were they doing before? Like this is just
they did crypto. They have crypto motors, and Leandro in real life used to design model cars for BMW, etc. Right? Like when they do the concept cars. So he's a legend, man, and he has such a good work ethic.
I mean, like, so I'm on a laptop. Obviously, I don't have like a headset. I've tried to tell friends over and over, you don't need a headset to like enjoy this stuff. I mean, like if you look at like
this is the Frankfurt area in CryptoVoxels, right?
Yeah, this is it's incredible everything that continues to be built here. Like I just, oh man, such a cool thing. Like I just, this is always a favorite part of my week is anytime I get to hop into CryptoVoxels.
Yeah. And please do be try to I want to make sure that you are at the event, right? So don't miss it.
Absolutely. No. I'm marking it down on my calendar. Like it's really, I think it's a really awesome opportunity.
It's going to be cool, yeah. And someday we're going to have a physical event also. So I will let you know about that and all your audience.
Absolutely. So, I know. Yeah. I think it's going to be such an incredible thing to eventually meet.
Yeah.
Well, like for example, Rizzle and Matthew. I mean, if you were to say like, think of like your friends, it's funny like how close I feel to them. I've never ever met them, but I've only like interacted through Token Smart. We've done a few podcasts, but there's just like so much like in common there, and it's such a positive relationship. It's a better relationship than I have with a lot of my closest friends So I'm like, it's gonna be so epic to finally like meet some of these people in person eventually. And
Yeah,
frankly, like it doesn't even matter to me. I feel a
yeah,
kinship, like being able to go online and live stream like this, and to be
yeah,
able
yeah, yeah,
to hop into, eventually CryptoVoxels. I can't wait for the day where I can like use like an Oculus headset and hop into
yeah, yeah.
CryptoVoxels. But Metakovan, anything else that you'd like to share? You think folks should know about all the like incredible work you're doing?
I think I'm. There's so much in general that we could talk about, but for today, I think we covered quite a bit on B20s. I'm sure that your audience is already we've overloaded them with a lot of new information. So I guess we can talk some other time when it's also launched, and
That
I
would be
can also
great.
come back and talk about how I feel about it. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah,
to
yeah,
do like sort of a retro on the whole experience.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's been, I mean, it's a lot of money to me, at least, what's been already
yeah,
invested in this. But it's a public good. It's definitely the definition of a public good where everyone
yeah,
can go in and enjoy it. It's just a tremendous amount of risk
yeah,
that
yeah.
you had to personally take. And what a
Uh,
cool
that's what
story.
that's what crypto taught me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would tell anyone to like make sure you check out Zima Red. That's Zima space Red. That's by Andrew Steinwald. He has a Substack newsletter and a podcast, and he's got all these great interviews. But I'm gonna definitely listen to that interview. I want to like hear about all the detail that went into like how you bought all these pieces, which still like is I actually thought before we got on, I thought that you had bought them on the secondary market, that you had bought as many as you could, but that you probably couldn't get all of them. And then you
Yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
to go to the secondary market.
Oh man, that would have been so difficult actually. Yeah, that would have
Yeah,
been so difficult.
I was like, how much money did you pay for this? You would have had to negotiate with these
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm
Oh
trying to
man.
make this museum, and nuts. Just
And when this after a point, it's not about money also, right? So I've already had, because I own a lot of other NFT also. And
yeah,
usually when someone asks me if I, for example, I own First Supper for Amazing Card, and someone will be like, do you want to sell it? And I'm like, I don't think money can buy it, right? Like something else maybe, but I don't think you can pay me something, and I want to let it go because man, it's so unique, right? Right? If I
yeah.
have to give it to you and buy it back, I would have to pay more anyways.
Wait,
So
so, any other artists that you'd recommend checking out? I mean, there's so many I know, but like I was just like, do you have collections on Super Rare by chance that people could look
we
at?
have a collection through Metapurse.
Okay.
If you go, even if you go on OpenSea and look for Metapurse account, that is OpenSea/accounts/Metapurse, you'd be able to see all our all the collections which have actually
Very,
that's all Tubadur collating them, but he has a very good taste in artists. So yeah,
I'd
and
love to have him join next time. I think uh, I think he had joined for like a second. He might have been worried that he was
okay.
in the green room, and he probably was like, "Oh no, am I like disrupting the live stream?" But no,
Oh,
we
okay, okay.
on to
You can talk about art with him all day, right? Like he's
wow,
the I'm more like I'm more like thinking economics, business, and stuff, but he's just he
wow.
I,
There's so
I
much
don't
here.
to be
Like,
frank, I don't understand this very well, right? This
yeah,
art part, but I do understand that it has a lot of value. Yeah,
so much
and
here. And then again, if
it's
you
so
go to
nice.
OpenSea.io/account/Metapurse, you can
Metaverse.
see all that we're looking at here. This is so cool. All the
And
pieces.
these are all very wide artists, so it's not like it'll be from very different
Wow.
people. And we have a theme, right? Like the slogan for Metaverse is collecting stories and catalyzing change. So we try to stick to that slogan. So we collect a lot of mm, things which moves us in a way that is profound. So that's I really enjoy that.
So cool. Wow. I could just keep talking to you forever about this stuff. Well, hey, I want to remind everyone, you can, oops, there we go. You can follow Metakovan on Twitter. We mentioned following TokenSmart on Twitter if you're interested to learn more about NFTs and get involved in a very exciting community there. It's very supportive, which we can speak firsthand from our own experience in it. If you join the WHIP, which is a weekly 1-hour meeting that happens in CryptoVoxels. If you join TokenSmart, there is an audio channel there that you'll be able to listen to all these interesting talks. I have learned so much in there from artists and creators, and there's a merging of DeFi, like DeFi builders and the NFT community, where they're bringing all these great talks up on stage. So like, I mean, I've given quick little spiels, but like there's so many other people, like Ben from Charged Particles gave a talk recently. You know, you're going to see like, what is it? NFTX? Is that Alex Gaussman? Is that his name?
NFTX,
anyway. Yeah, so all sorts of cool talks there. And then make sure you go to b20.metapurse.fund, which is where there's a link at the bottom of the screen to go visit the B20 Museum in CryptoVoxels. And there will also be links there for Somnium and Decentraland, which is there's a party from 6 to 7:30 Central on January 23rd that you can enjoy there. And then you can hop into the link already and enjoy the museum that I was walking through in CryptoVoxels, as long as you've got an internet connection.
The TokenSmart Discord is going to host the audio for the event also. So it's
amazing.
That's one. So if you join the TokenSmart Discord, you'll be part of the B20 event also.
That's right. Yeah. So I guess that's the key to all of this. And once you do join the TokenSmart Discord, heads up, the audio channel is, because I remember as a newcomer,
it's unmuted.
Feed. Yeah. It should say, I think, live stream. I think they renamed it actually. Anyways, message me if you have any questions. I'm happy on any of that. But Metakovan, thanks so much for your time, man. Great to meet you. Like, this is such a fun talk. I learned so much just about, like, I had no idea the B20 Museum was being built until a few weeks ago, thanks to Matthew. So I just one more like epic story that should probably be written into like a movie someday about everything that's happening in our community. But thanks so much. I'm going to just close out the show. If you hang out a sec, like, we'll be in a green room if you have any other questions. So everyone, we will be back actually later today. We're going to do an interview with a partner at Blockchain Capital, Kinjal. I'm so sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing her name. Kinjal Shah. It's Kinjal. So we'll talk with her more about her. She did a report on DeFi in 2020, and she's got all sorts of interesting insights. So we're going to dig into those. But otherwise, a quick reminder to subscribe at tv.zapper.fi, and please try Zapper. You can track your whole DeFi portfolio, and hopefully in the future we'll be tracking NFTs as well, which would
nice.
So anyway, cool. Thanks so much, and I guess I'll see everyone later today here. So
thanks a lot.
Banner. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks so much, Metakovan. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye.